ChatGPT 5.3 has just dropped right around the same time as Claude 4.6 Opus, but it seems like there's a lot of confusion between the two models. In this video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into ChatGPT 5.3 and seeing how good this model actually is, not what is all hyped up to be. Starting off, ChatGPT 5.3 was introduced 2 days ago, which is GPT 5.3 Codex. In all the press releases, they have significant bumps in coding performances, reasoning, professional knowledge above ChatGPT 5.2, which makes sense because if you're getting a new version, it should be better, right? It also says it's 25% faster, which is really good, especially for real-time conversations, whether it's you have your own chatbot or something else that you want to do. Definitely 25% counts down on a fourth of the time it takes for it to spit out, which usually means that the responses are going to come back a lot faster as well. And what's also interesting about this ChatGPT 5.3, is that they said it was actually the first model that was instrumental in creating itself. You heard that right. They said the Codex team used early versions to debug its own training, manage its own development and deployment, and diagnose test results and evaluations. And they said that really surprised the team. So it's becoming to the point where AI is kind of almost self-improving. It's being helped along by the team, but it's definitely aiding in making the next model just that much better. They said ChatGPT 5.3 goes from an agent that can write and review code to an agent that can do nearly anything developers and professionals can do on a computer, which means that ChatGPT isn't just coming for developers anymore, they're coming for the entire workforce. He said, of course, ChatGPT 5.3 has higher benchmarks when it comes to terminal bench, OS World, and GDP Val, which usually is the case when a new model comes out, where we see here that says ChatGPT 5.3 achieves state-of-the-art performance when it comes to SweetBench Pro, a rigorous evaluation of real-world software engineering, where SweetBench Verify only tests Python. SweetBench Pro spans 4 languages and is more containment resistant, challenging, diverse, and industry relevant. It is also far exceeds the previous state-of-the-art performance on Terminal Bench. Well, let me pause right there, because what they just said about SweetBench Pro versus SweetBench, because since Opus 4.6 dropped, Opus 4.6 actually outperforms most models when it comes to what SweetBench, as ChatGPT 5.3 is being tested on, is more diverse. So it's showing you how their different models kind of compare and contrast. So Cloud Opus 4.6 does really well when it comes to, well, Python, but when it comes to the diversity of many different languages, well, that's when you may have a little bit of hiccup, and ChatGPT may be better in these regards with multiple languages. You can think about it like this. If you have a company, most of the time you do have a set stack that you use, but if you're a big enough company, like enterprise level, then you have multiple languages going on. Some companies in the banking industry have languages going back to the Cobalt, all the way up to C#, Java, Python. Like the more modern Go, Lang, all of the modern stuff, you can even have that all in one enterprise huge company. And let's not think about just desktop, but also mobile. That could all be in one company, and ChatGPT may be the one model that you may want to adopt to be really good and versatile, all those models. And that's a direct shot at Opus 4.6, basically, which seems like ChatGPT as well as Anthropic kind of knew that they were both going to drop on the same day. And it also shows how much both all the companies when it comes to the AI space, cherry pick their data. This is also far exceeds the previous state-of-the-art performance of Terminal Bench 2.0, which measures the terminal skills a coding agent like Codex needs. We see down here, we see the SweetBench, and we see how high GPT 5.3 is compared to GPT 5.2 and GPT 5.2 Codex. Also see the terminal bench here, where we talked about earlier, where we see that ChatGPT 5.3 Codex beats out GPT 5.2 and GPT 5.2 Codex. Also, it says when it comes to web development, combining frontier coding capabilities, improvements in aesthetics, and compactions results in a model that can do striking work, building high functional complex games and apps from scratch over the course of days. That's pretty cool. To test the models, web development, and long-running agentic capabilities, we asked ChatGPT 5.3 Codex to build us 2 games. Version 2 of the racing game from the Codex app launch. So basically what they're saying is Codex app was released, I think, early this week on Monday. AI has been moving so fast. And since then, on that day when Codex app launched, they had a racing game. Which if you want to know more about that, you should definitely check out that video here, and it's linked in the description. But also, that game was pretty good, but they already saying ChatGPT 5.3 need an update to that game that's much better. So version 2, the racing game from the Codex app launch, and the diving game using the develop web game skill in pre-selected generic follow prompts like fix debug will improve the game. ChatGPT 5.3 Codex iterated on the games autonomously over millions of tokens. Watch the trailers and play the games for yourself to see what Codex can do. So let's take a look at this one. This is the racing game that they have, and let's go ahead and full screen it. And we see here it kind of has a voxel's velocity. So let's choose a track. We see it has character different difficulty levels, but the game actually looks good, and you're even able to pick a racer. This actually looks so much better because it's actually like 3. He said that this was able to be done over a few days, so it seems like ChatGPT can work autonomously by itself as things get done in the background, which makes it pretty cool. As you see here, you can pick the different type of game that you want or how you want the game to be made. They also have another one here which has a deep dive, which is like a diving game, and let's go ahead and check that out. We see here is that this person is diving from the boat. This doesn't even look like something even made. This looks like very mobile level game creation. Definitely advanced web creation when it comes to this. The graphics on this look beautiful, if I had to be honest with you. I think if you've seen a lot of those games where they do one AI versus makes another game, this kind of looks reminiscent of what somebody would do. And if you want me to make a head-to-head comparison between ChatGPT 4.3 Codex versus Opus 4.6, you should definitely like and subscribe and comment down below head-to-head. And tell me who you think would win actually out of both of those. This actually looks absolutely amazing. Just see how well this has come. ChatGPT 5.3 also can actually do websites pretty well, which isn't a surprise. ChatGPT always did websites pretty well, but we see here is a comparison between ChatGPT 5.3 website, where it looks pretty modern and everything, versus ChatGPT 5.2 website, which are both modern. And sometimes for the websites, if you're not a true web designer, it is kind of hard to tell sometimes between the upgrades between the two models, because both of them could be really good. But that's a good thing when it comes to development, whether games or websites. But also things to think about are, well, real world tasks outside of coding. What we see, we've been shifting focuses in a lot of the different AIs that have been doing really well at coding. They're now shifting towards things like financial advice slides, retail training docs, NPV analysis spreadsheets, and a fashion presentation, basically showing how well these AIs can work with Excel, do calculations, and populate the data within the suite of Microsoft tools like Excel, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth, meaning that these are very good business administration jobs where it can be automated. Maybe not replace a person right now, but definitely can help people be more efficient, which would lead to a decreased headcount. You can see another one where it talks about computer use and just how well overall that is compared to the last model. This one measures agent has to complete a productivity task in a visual desktop and computer environment. So it's kind of taking in visual data in order to complete a certain task. Another pretty good update here is that you now have an interactive collaborator, basically meaning that usually when you ask ChatGPT to do a task, it usually does a task and then hands it out. You may even see a little synopsis window kind of going through the thought process which is not exclusive to ChatGPT. Most models do that. Gemini 3, Opus 4.5 and 4.6, I would assume does that as well. But what's interesting here is that instead of it waiting for the final output, it kind of talks back and forth with you in order to get the final output that you want. So it starts asking you questions throughout the prompts so that it's making sure that it's staying in the right direction and that you're getting what you want ultimately. We talked about earlier, we see that ChatGPT 5.3 actually was used to train itself, and it goes more into detail about how it was used and helping it to steer itself in the right direction. And right now, there are a huge macro shift with a lot of the AIs not focusing on coding, but focusing on office tasks that we seen earlier with the coding, as well as we saw with the Excel spreadsheets, the PowerPoints. We also see that another major trend is a shift towards cybersecurity, where AIs are focusing on securing code better, as well as just cybersecurity tasks in general. And if we see anything with Opus 4.6 and 4.5 being so good at coding at this point, we can see how well these other AIs are when it comes to cybersecurity in the next year or two. It can make major strides in these areas because we may be hitting somewhat of a wall when it comes to coding and marginal returns in the grand scheme of things. But maybe instead of pushing the coding as much as possible, we can shift to help also bring up other areas of the AI to do other things instead of just being, oh, this thing is going to replace developers. This thing is also not coding. That's the major push there. They can train more on cybersecurity, more on office tasks, and different things like that, so that it'll be just as good at office tasks in cybersecurity as it is at coding, which is very scary, honestly. Basically, that's about it. ChatGPT is available in the API for use today, and it's for all the paid plans. And everywhere you can use codecs, the app CLI IDE extension in web is where it is rolling out as of now. And I'm going to be doing some head-to-heads between Opus 4.6 and ChatGPT 5.3. So if you want to stick around for that, you should definitely like and subscribe. With that being said, your boy X9 Dexter.